Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m., we provide you with information on various colleges, universities, financial aid resources, technical schools, training programs, skilled trade professions, career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Tony Curtin, your host, and today we are with SEMCA, or the Southeast Michigan Construction Academy. Mr. Mortimer, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Ms. Curtin, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good deal. We're so excited to hear about your program.
Well, we're happy to share it. We're kind of one of those best kept secrets in this neck of the woods. The Southeast Michigan Construction Academy has just under 500 apprentices in our programs currently in Southeast Michigan. So we do quite a bit of work with folks to help them get on a career pathway. Many of us have had jobs, many of over the years, but a career is something a whole different than a job.
Indeed.
And so I'm a big believer. I tell people all the time, I don't care about houses and I don't care about jobs. I care about careers and I care about homes. And I think if people think of what they're doing in that way, it's something you enjoy. It's something you want to do. You want to take care of it. You want to take care of your home. If you're renting an apartment, you don't love it the same way as a house that you're paying a mortgage on. When you got a career, it's something that you want to do. You want to grow. You want to become better at it, as opposed to a job, something you show up from 9 to 5 and are watching the clock, waiting to go home. So two different approaches. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and start this and we can kind of go through it. And please, if you have questions, Ms. Curtin will be following the chat function, and she'll just interrupt me if you got a question at any point in time. We'll try to answer it for you.
Good deal.
Okay, with that said, you can see our opening screen. I'm Mickey Mortimer. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Development here for the Southeast Michigan Construction Academy. Our main campus is in Madison Heights, where we have a couple hundred apprentices here every evening studying. We also have a large program in Monroe at the Monroe County Community College with approximately 100 apprentices there. We have another 80 apprentices in Lapeer at the Lapeer ISD, which is actually in a small town of Attica, just outside of. And we have recently opened a new first-year electrical apprenticeship in both Grand Blanc and Westland. And we have a very small program in Adrian as well. So we're all over the map these days. So what is an apprenticeship? As you can see there, the Webster Dictionary says an apprenticeship is an arrangement in which someone learns an art, trade, or job out under another person. For us, ours are the U.S. Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program, which makes that a little step above if you're just doing an apprenticeship with a company that hasn't taken the time to have those credentials. We're also a state of Michigan accredited school, so we meet on all of those levels. One of the things that's cool about an apprenticeship is you're working while you're doing everything. So our students go to class 2 nights a week, either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. But Monday through Friday, they're working in their job field during the day. So you're earning a regular wage while you're in school. And that during the day part is what you learn how to do it. And in the evening, you learn the whys and the whats. Why do we do it that way? What happens if we don't? Why SEMCA? As I just mentioned, we're a registered apprenticeship provider for the state of Michigan. We have 4-year specific trade offerings that currently offer electrical, carpentry, HVAC, and we're running a short-term welding program to help people who want to become welders be able to move right into the trade and have enough skills to get hired. And then they can pick up additional skills at a later time. Just like with our carpentry program right now, we run an intense 1-year, 9-month program whereby everybody in there is working for a company shortly after working or while they're there. And that's really to get them out and working and making money. And then the companies can choose to send them back for additional training when they feel they're ready for it. We have nationally recognized credentials. We are credentialed by the National Center for Construction Education and Research, which means we use the same credentials that the state of Michigan does. Many places around the country use them. There's 69 associated builders and contractors, local units around the country, and most of them use the NCCER credentials as well. The advantage to that, if somebody was working here and they wanted to, and their company said, hey, we're going to go do a job in South Florida for the next year, they could pack up, go to the ABC chapter in Miami, who's using the same credentials, and they could start their classes the following year right on schedule, not lose a beat. We use master level instructors for our classes. That means people who have been in the trades, they've gone beyond being a journeyman, passed that test, then they've gone on and worked longer in the trade field so that they can then go back and take an additional test to become a master, much like getting your master's in a traditional education field. The plus is most of those folks have quite a bit of hands-on experience. So it's not unusual for a student to walk into a class and say, geez, I was trying to do this today and I couldn't figure it out. And the master electrician will say, were you doing it this way or that way? Oh, I was doing it this way. He goes, well, yeah, that doesn't work. Let's go out in the shop. I'll take the class out and I'll show you the way you should have been doing it. And it would have been easier and it would have worked for you. Those are the things you get with experience. And that's why we hire those people that have the utmost experience. Here we talked about the NCCER. You can see our textbook. One of the things that's kind of cool when you come into an apprenticeship trade, it's not the same as necessarily taking a class at the community college that might offer the same, because we're only working on an apprenticeship standard, which means we're just worrying about making sure you know your trade, that you can become a journey person in that trade. That means you don't take an extra humanities class, you don't take a science class, you don't take, other classes that you may not be interested in. The classes and the curriculum is 100% set up that you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now you're ready to take your examination to be an electrician or to be a carpenter or to be an HVAC. So a lot of those things that some people who are interested in the trades, but not necessarily in a traditional classroom setting, don't have to take some of those classes you might in a different environment. To apply to our program, it's pretty straightforward. The requirements are to be a Department of Labor apprentice, you have to be 18 years of age. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED, a driver's license or a state ID card, and a social security card. If you've got those things, you can apply to be a Department of Labor approved apprentice. We, rather different than say the union training programs, we train people for the companies that are not part of the union. What people don't normally recognize is that 83% of all construction done in the United States is done by companies that are non-union. That doesn't mean they oppose the union, it just means they're not part of the union. We in Southeast Michigan tend to think union first, but that's very limited to the number of companies that are actually doing the trades. So we don't do an entrance exam like the unions do, and we never put somebody on a wait list. Sometimes you could go over to one of the union programs and say, oh, I want to sign up. And they'll say, well, sorry, we only take 40 this year and you're number 60 on the list. So we'll put you over here and you can wait a year, 2, 3 years waiting to see if we've got an opening for you. People come to our program and if we need to start an additional class to make sure we've got space, we'll start an additional class. We're a big believer that right now, for every 3 people that are retiring in the skilled trades, only 1 is coming in. So the need is getting bigger every year as the baby boomers retire. So for us, we feel it's vitally important that we help train people to be in the field, to have a great career pathway, but to also close that gap, and which is important for our communities to be able to continue to grow and do things. We have a very straightforward application. You can see there the semcaschool.org. You go to that, it's a one-page application. You fill that out. And if you are serious that you want to come at that point in time, there's a $50 registration fee that counts against your first semester. So it's not a separate fee. It counts right into your, and you'll get back your, as soon as we know we have all the paperwork from you, you'll get back your welcome to SEMCA. We'll send that out to you. You can also go online and pick which day of the week you want for your classes. And sometimes students don't care about that so much the first year, but year 2, 3, and 4 in electrical, that's often a big thing because they get used to going to school on certain nights. It's a good opportunity. You don't get to pick your instructors at this point in time. So if somebody told you, hey, take Joe because he's real easy, that isn't going to do you any good. You're only picking your day, not your instructor. And you can see at that site, our entire class schedule for the year is always posted on that site. So you know what days we will be closed for which holidays and Christmas break, those kind of things. There's what your application process looks like. It's not a whole lot, is it? There's a checklist there on the right side that tells you here's the things that you need to have made sure you did. You turned in your documents, the driver's license, the diploma, the social security card. A lot of people want to say, oh, can't I just give you my social security number? And the answer to that is no. We have to have a copy of your card. It has to go in a file so that when the federal government shows up and wants to do an audit, that we can show that we can prove that you're a US citizen and properly in a US Department of Labor program. Then it tells you your class schedules and how to pay your tuition, which you can do directly online. We do have some scholarship money that's available, and we have a student loan program. We don't traditionally, we can't take FAFSA, which is what you would use to go to community college or another school, because that's the US Department of Labor, and we come under the US, or Department of Education, excuse me, and we come under the US Department of Labor. So there's actually a federal prohibition against anybody running an apprenticeship program using FAFSA or normal scholarship dollars, because they feel you're double dipping because you're also helping that student work and things during the day. But we have a local credit union that we work with that with a little bit of paperwork, you can apply to them and they will help set up a student loan for you. And what's nice about that is the amount that they require for payments during the school year, they spread it out over the whole year, not just the 9 months. Generally speaking, it's not really too big a number. I think we got somebody in the chat there, Ms. Curitan. Did you see that come up? I can't hear you. You're on.
Yes, we have Cheryl in the chat room, and she wanted to know how long are the programs?
Hi, Cheryl. The programs for the most part depend on what you're interested in doing. If you want to be an electrician, by law in the state of Michigan, that's a 4-year program. So it's a much like a different 4-year degree or different way 4-year training. As I mentioned, it's 2 nights a week during the traditional school year. So it starts in the fall, September 1st, and runs through into April. For HVAC, if you want to get a full HVAC apprenticeship, it's the same thing, 4 years. If you want to be a carpenter, we run a 1-year program that's more hands-on intensive for that. And we are doing a 16-week welding program right now to help people have basic welding skills so they can go and be employed. There's enough demand that people are taking them right from there. And the next question is, how much does it cost? I can see those now.
Oh, good.
The cost is for the first year, $3,800 a year. For the next year after that, it goes down to $3,200 a year, and that's split into 2 semesters. So the first semester in the fall for what we'll call a freshman in the electrical would be $2,200. And then in January, it would be another $1,600 to equal $3,800.
Mr. Mortimer, currently the state of Michigan has a couple of scholarship programs, Future for Frontliners and Michigan Reconnect. Are students who apply for that program, can they use those fundings for your program?
They can.
Oh, good.
Yes, that it took us a little extra pushing and shoving with the state to make sure that we were supposed to be eligible for that from the beginning, but the state sometimes doesn't always recognize apprenticeship programs out here. So there was a little educating that had to be done on our end with them. But we do have students here now that are here on Reconnect dollars.
Oh, good
We
deal.
also have students that are here through the VA, Veterans Administration, with their, if they've served in the service. Or and the way that works is, while we can't take their education portion, they get what's called a housing allowance that pays them every month, as well as a book allowance, and we can take that. So that helps them pay for their tuition, and then they have a pretty good chunk of money left over.
Good deal. That's excellent.
Yeah, and if you consider that for $3,800, that means for a 4-year program for electrical, our students are in for a little less than $16,000, which is approximately one semester at Michigan State.
Yeah.
Yeah. So plus you're actually working in your trade. So here's your whole tuition page right here that talks about the self-pay, the lower half there on the left. That was the number I was quoting. We also have people who get hired by ABC member companies and then sent to our training. And if they do that, about half of them are getting their tuition paid for by the companies. So if a student was interested in being an electrician, if they contacted us, or if they went out and found an electrical company to pay for them coming here, a lot of times they'll pay for their students to come into the program. Also, the ABC member companies, you see there's a $500 difference that first year, because they're already paying dues to the association. So we figure they deserve a little bit of a break for sending students as well. You can see under financial aid, we have a private student loan partnership with T&I Credit Union, flat interest rate of 7%. They also, very interesting, they work with students directly. They don't have to have co-signers to go into their program at the credit union. And they'll even work with those who have lower credit scores, because they want to help them build a credit history. They want them to develop so that they can be good long-term members of the credit union. So it's kind of it's a twofer there, because a lot of young people don't necessarily have a history and haven't developed credit ratings. So in paying through them on your regular loans shows a payment structure and helps build your credit rating.
Mr. Mortimer, we have another question. She wants to know, are there any women in the program?
So let's go back here. I got to go back a page or two. What do we see in that bottom right-hand picture? Yes, we have a number of women in our program. Women in the electrical program and women in the carpentry program both. Our last carpentry class prior to this one was half women and half men.
Wow.
So it was really interesting to see that development. So yes, we have, I want to say, when I came here 5 years ago, we had one young lady in our program. I think we have 38 right now.
Wow.
So in each semester, it's just getting bigger, because women are understanding that there's no problem. They can come into the trades. They can do it just as well as a man can. And there is our contact information. You see the SEMCA school, that's the website you go to get your, to sign up, and you can get all the information that's going on in the school right here at semcaschool.org. You'll see over here at the student services desk, one of the things that helps is that we expect any student who wants to find work, we have a jobs bank. We know companies call us all the time looking for people in the trades. So we can then refer them to the students in the jobs bank. But for that, they need a resume on file so that they know who they are and what their background is. Some of our students, let's just say, are a little bit rough in writing a resume. So we have people that will help review the resumes that they turn into us. And we'll go over them and make suggestions and help them clean those up and make them more presentable. So that it turns out so that when a company does call, there's a nice resume on file for each of our students for them to review.
Okay, Mr. Mortimer, I have a question. So your students attend your program 2 nights every week.
Yes.
And then if they hold a job somewhere, is that because they got the job or you get the job for them? And I don't literally mean that as in, of course, a student would have to apply and interview, you would job assist, but I'm saying that when they are attending school, when they are attending your program, is it your goal to also get them employed at the same time, or is that something they do on their own?
It's twofold. Okay.
Okay.
We're a school. So we don't, but we do, as I mentioned, have a jobs bank, and companies call all the time looking for folks. Historically, last year, 94% of our students were working in their trade during the year. If you're that high, it's because a couple people are just turning over, or somebody, doesn't, they like their job at the car wash and they don't want it. And then you have to explain to them, but you have to leave the car wash because you got to be training in your skill set. So some of that takes a little bit. Some people are a little bashful about going and talking to people. We explain to people all the time, you do not get hired in the trades by sending out 50 resumes on email. People in the trades are a hand to hand, they work with their hands. They're used to talking to people. If a student is struggling getting a position, I'll usually meet with them personally, and I'll give them the old look up 5 places in your community that you would be interested in working, and get up in the morning and put your work clothes on and drive through McDonald's, get 2 cups of coffee, and be sitting at their office at 7:15 in the morning when they show up. Because if you get out and you shake their hand and you really shake their hand, you don't limp noodle it, and you hand them a cup of coffee and you say, hey, my name's Mickey Mortimer. I'm in school over at SEMCA to be an electrician. I'm looking to work as an apprentice during the day. And I always tell them, if you'll do that 5 times, if you haven't gotten hired by somebody by the 5th time, I'll go out with you. Well, in 5 years, I haven't had to go out with a student. So a little initiative goes a long ways, because that's what companies are looking for, people who will show up on time.
So then, once they complete the program, say like a student enrolls for the electrician program, and it's a 4-year program. Once they complete, what will their certification that they earn from your program afford them, entitle them to do?
When they have completed, because in the state of Michigan, to be an electrician, you have to be enrolled in school. You have to get at least 576 contact hours of training, as well as you have to get 8,000 on-the-job training hours. So that means you have to be working for a company as well as going to school. Once you reach 8,000 hours, you will get a certificate from the U.S. Department of Labor that you have completed your apprenticeship as far as they're concerned. The state of Michigan still requires you then to go take your journeyman's exam if you want to be a journeyman.
Okay.
Now you can work as a 4th-year apprentice for the rest of your career if you choose to, but it limits how much you're going to make, and it limits your ability somewhere down the road to own your own company. Because you have to be a journeyman, and then you have to be a master in order to own your own company. Somebody has to be a master in your company to draw permits and things. So it gives them multiple avenues. And the other thing I always want people to understand is that those classes ultimately train you in your skill set, but you go work for a company 10 years from now, you might be the estimator. You might be the project manager. You might become the officer for that company. So there's a lot of branches that come off of that tree once you've planted that seed and let it grow. And I see we have a question on our classes in person or online. Our classes are online only in this sense. Almost all our classes are in person. But we do have a few hybrid classes that we can put people into. Some companies, their students travel a great deal all over the Midwest. And so if you're working for a company like that, then we put you in the hybrid class. That means while you're out for maybe 2 weeks, you can see the exact class as it's going on with the instructor. They can talk to you back and forth. You have to have a tablet or a laptop to be in one of those classes. And then when you come back in, you go right back into your in-person class and be with the rest of the students. So we limit that, with COVID, sure, we had to go online. But now we did hybrid for all last year. We only had to close down for a month here, a couple weeks there, where we went to online and came right back to being in person. And currently we're fully in person in the classroom. We try to limit the online to only when a company really requests it and needs it.
Okay, good deal. I did have one more question regarding what students receive when they complete. So they have to sit for their licensing to obtain the journeyman.
Correct.
Do your courses prepare them? Is there some prep involved in the coursework that they take through you that will help them take that exam?
Absolutely. One of the things that's very important to that is understanding the National Electrical Code. And that's a whole nother book besides our traditional textbooks. And our students get their NEC book the first year. Instructors start teaching them how to find stuff and where the code is. And they'll talk about, okay, you see this, this, and this, and you have to do it this way. Here's where it is in the code book so that you're compliant. Because the journeyman's test is about 80% about the code book and 20% about practical hands-on. So yes, we do that. And actually, we even have bought additional journeyman prep paperwork and books that our fourth year instructors use to pull extra questions and extra information out to help them be ready to take their exam at the finish. I actually tell students, do not get out and say, oh, I don't want to take my exam right now. I'll wait a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem with that is you forgot everything you've learned in class.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're having to study twice as hard to take the exam. We're a big believer that as soon as you've got your 8,000 hours, get over there and take your journeyman's exam while stuff is still fresh.
Sure. Absolutely. Wow.
You're welcome, Cheryl. Said thank you. So I had to say you're welcome.
Well, again, great program. I've always been a fan. You guys do really good. The way your program is set up, it's really awesome. And I try to encourage all of our students who are interested in going into the skilled trades. I send them to your school, check it out, because they have a great program.
I appreciate that. And we do have the ability for people to come in and take a tour. They just, when they go to the semcaschool.org site, it'll say right there, are you interested in taking a tour? Here's some dates that are available. Sign up for one of them.
Good deal. Now, you also mentioned that you're at Macomb Community College as well?
Monroe County Community College.
Monroe. Okay.
Yep. So we have downriver covered. We have a lot of the northern Oakland, northern Monroe County students go out to Lapeer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they go to class there. And then we just started a small program in Grand Blanc and a small program in Westland. And both of those are going to grow over time.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Well,
and thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Cheryl. Great questions. Thanks so much. We look forward to connecting with you in the winter semester for our winter students to hear about your program.
Well, make sure you come to the Christmas party December 2nd.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Thank you so much, Mr. Mortimer. It was a pleasure, and have a great day.
You as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation.
Bye now.
Bye.